nebuuza oba wabikola otya amagezi n'okutegeera oli wala nnyo kug'abantu ne mu bigambo byemmanyi sembuliddwamu ekiyinza okunnyonnyola oli Katonda oli Katonda oli Katonda wewunyisa wakoze mu bulamu bwange ne neewunya okwagala n'ekisa yali sibisaanira eri mwana wa muntu yinza kola byokoze bigamba abaana bange era balikwata Katonda. Oli Katonda, oli Katonda, oli Katonda, wewunyisa. Oli Katonda, oli Katonda,
Check. Check, check. Final check. Final check. Final check. Final check. Check.
It's just a better way.
The back, can we push forward so that we can be able to start? Thank you. Sorry for the inconveniences, but we need to start. It's 11 past 10 a.m., and we were supposed to start at exactly 10 a.m. So I'm humbly requesting, kindly. Yes. Yeah, yeah. Check. Once again, you're welcome to this event. I'm kindly requesting us to move to the front. We have 4 tables at the front, and there's still a lot of space on this table that I stand. Madam Officer, there is a free table at the front over here. Thank you. We should be able to start shortly, in the next couple of minutes, so that we can delve into our discussion. Once again, you're welcome. We have plenty of seats at the front. Let's endeavor to take up the front seats. Excuse me, sir. You're welcome. You will move with him. He must be a prominent show. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, you're welcome. We still have tables at the front. Let's endeavor to sit at the front and occupy those tables. My colleague Peter will show you where to. the Honorable Wilson Muluri Mukasa, our Acting Minister for Justice and Constitutional Affairs, Her Excellency Mrs. Fiona Nabasa Wall, our Council Member, Eastern, the Chief Executive, Council Member Central, I beg to be pardoned, the Chief Executive Officer, Uganda Law Society. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 20th edition launch of the Law Report that covers the fourth quarter of 2021, specifically from the month of October to December 2021. Our report this morning will cover 4 particular areas of checks and balances, human rights, transparency, and due process. Ladies and gentlemen, we have an agenda before us that has welcome remarks by the Chief Executive Officer. We have the presentation of the report by Her Excellency Fiona Nabasa Wall, and we shall have remarks from Muluri Mukasa, our Acting Minister for Justice and Constitutional Affairs, and then we'll have a plenary session. We have very high ambitions for this event, and we look forward to your active participation, both online and physically. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, welcome with me the Chief Executive Officer, Uganda Law Society, Mr. Moses Okwalinga, to make his welcome remarks. Can we have some sanitizer? Thank you.
Morning, everyone. My name is Moses Okwalinga. I work as the Chief Executive Officer at the Uganda Law Society. I would like to welcome you all to our fourth quarter launch of the Rule of Law Report. I know most of you are wondering, fourth quarter? But the events surrounding the fourth quarter are between the period of October and December 2020. So I would like to thank you all for creating time to be here today, despite your busy schedules. The Honorable Minister of Public Service and the Acting Minister of Justice. Congratulations, Honorable, on your recent appointment. It was last week. We welcome you as members of the justice sector, and we hope to work closely with you in steering the justice sector. Thank you, Honorable Minister, for honoring our invitation. The Honorable Acting Minister of Justice and the Honorable Minister of Public Service, Honorable Muluri Mukasa, members of the Diplomatic Corps, the representatives from the Embassy of Belgium, the Austrian Embassy, the President of the Uganda Law Society, our Council Member representing Central Region, representatives from the police, representatives from the media, representatives from Uganda Prison Services, representatives from various CSOs, representatives from government and other partner institutions. You're welcome to today's launch. This year has started on a good note. We started with the opening of the economy and several other restrictions were restricted. So we are very hopeful that this year will be a much better year. The report that supposed to be presented today highlights several instances affecting the rule of law in this country. We have made an effort to give a very balanced opinion, taking into consideration all the prevailing circumstances, as well as getting feedback from stakeholders on the various aspects. I would also like to welcome the Honorable MP for Nakawa Division and the spokesperson of the Unity Platform. You're welcome, sir. We are also hoping to have you as a member in the near future, very, very soon. You're welcome. I've also seen representation from LabsNet, our partner institutions, you're welcome, as well as several other colleagues whom we shall recognize in due course. Our fourth quarter is the period between October and December 2021. However, there wasn't sufficient time to be able to launch this at the end of the year. So we decided to compile every item so that we would launch it at the beginning of the year. The report covers several aspects that include checks and balances, both within government and the public service, the human rights environment, transparency and accountability, due process, and the climate of legality. We also take cognizance of the several factors that contributed to this climate, like COVID-19, the various restrictions, and that came about as a result of relations with our neighbors, the neighboring countries, among others. And all those are highlighted within the report. The ULS is true to its mandate to advise government, the public, and the judiciary and all other stakeholders on matters of the law, good governance and the rule of law, has constantly kept its eye on the evolving events in the country, and occasionally we render advice to government and the other stakeholders on issues relating to the law. And we are thankful that on several instances, government has taken the advice, and on others, they have also given us feedback, which is the way to go. We've also constantly enjoyed a very good working relationship with the judiciary leadership that has constantly given us feedback, and we've also constantly given them feedback. We've equally enjoyed a very good relationship with the Parliament, and the Honorable Speaker and the Deputy Speaker have occasionally sought our input on various aspects relating to the law, and also given us an opportunity to contribute to jurisprudence and various aspects of the law in this country. Invited guests, distinguished delegates, it's at this juncture that I welcome you all to our launch. We've shared copies of the report with you. However, we shall have an opportunity to share a detailed, the President will run through the report highlighting several aspects. So with those few remarks, allow me invite our President to come and make her remarks as we kick off this event. Thank you very much.
Our chief guest, the Honorable Minister of Public Service and the Honorable Acting Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs, Honorable Muruli Mukasa. Let's give him a big hand clap. I told someone this morning that we invited the Honorable Minister, and this is probably going to be his first public outing, so there were two things going to happen. Either he was going to delegate this, or he was going to be super early, because we know him for his serious discipline. And true to his word, he was earlier than most of us. Let's give him a big hand clap. We have some regrets from the Honorable Minister for Gender and Culture, who's been called away on some urgent duties. However, Honorable Minister, in the House, I'd like to first recognize our partners. We have our Honorable Member of Parliament for Nakawa Division. We also have with us a representative from UN Women. Please, if you could just stand up so we can all recognize you. I'm not going to name names, but it's a form of introduction. We have members of the diplomatic corps from the Belgian and Austrian embassies. We have a representative from UNHCR. We also have somebody from Uganda Prison Service. You're welcome. We also have our representatives from our partners, the police and the Inspectorate of Government. Thank you. We also have with us representatives from the Uganda Parliamentary Press Association. You're welcome, gentlemen. And with us, Honorable Minister, because we believe in generations, we believe that what we're doing is supposed to be a legacy job. We also have, in our rule of law efforts, we've been creating rule of law clubs in schools. And today with us, we have representatives from the Rule of Law Club of Makerere University and also from IU. Please stand up, let's recognize you. We are considered civil society, and I want to recognize our members from civil society that are present. I think LASPNet is here. Thank you very much. Honorable Minister, let me start by thanking you and congratulating you on your appointment. I think the discipline, the passion with which you have arrived today probably shows us what you're going to do for us in the ministry. Thank you very much. Congratulations. And we hope that while you told me that you're warming this seat, some things will be cooked in the process. I'd like to convey my sincere gratitude to everybody that has honored our invitation and has managed to spare time off your busy schedules to attend this launch. I'd like to thank our fourth estate and recognize you, because without you, we would not be able to send our message forward. Our Honorable Minister, we prepare under our mandate to protect the rule of law, but also to advise government on issues of the law and good governance. We release this report quarterly, and it's usually a temperature check of how we are doing on the climate of legality, on where the red spots are. And I think for the last 2 years, we have really not had a Minister of Justice, and we are very grateful that has finally been done. Although it's an acting role, I think that's also progress we should clap for. Can we? This undertaking may not be so popular to some, but credit needs to be given where it is due. And we also need to take this time to name and shame those that are bringing the name of our country to its knees. We have seen, regrettably, in the last year, a lot of incidences that show that we've probably not learned from our history. Maya Angelou, a writer that I like to quote, and who finally made it as the first black woman ever to appear on a pound coin in the United States, stated that if you do not know where you have come from, you do not know where you're going. Today, as we look at the quarterly rule of law report for this period, October to December 2021, we need to be cognizant of where we've come from. Let's not read it in a vacuum. It's more like a book of accounts where we're visiting to have a clear understanding. And we do this in the light, and we do this with our partners and through dialogue. In the past, we've presented these issues to the stakeholders. So in the report, we'll share with you some updates on stakeholders that have worked on some of the issues that we've raised in the past. But we've also had issues that are cross-cutting and are continuous. Honorable Minister, before I launch into the report, I'd like to raise 3 issues that as we begin the year, we need to look forward to, or we need to guard our loins for. One is the issue of access to justice. In the last year, it took a big hit with some of the funding being frozen. And yet we know that in this country, legal aid is almost 100% donor funded. We have been agitating for the passing of the legal aid bill, Honorable Minister. As we speak, the proponent of this bill did not make it back to Parliament, but it is a bill that we're all passionate about. And I'm glad to say that when the Law Society visited His Excellency, he showed willingness to actually put some money in the provision of legal aid services. The Right Honourable Speaker has invited this bill to be represented to Parliament, and our Honourable Minister, it is our hope that it will not be just a private member's bill, because this should be a concern for everybody. It is actually an obligatory duty that is within the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda, and we are hoping that with seasoned leaders such as you, we will find a way of having you as the minister champion this bill in Parliament. What this bill means is that everybody in Uganda that cannot afford legal services will have access to them. As the Law Society, we have a membership of 4,000 members, and I'm very proud of them because for the last 25 years, they've been providing free legal services to the poor. We do this in 22 districts in Uganda. And through the Pro Bono project, we've actually been providing pro bono services all over the country. Our Honourable Minister, even despite the donor problems, the donor funding issues that we've had, I'd like to proudly state that we'll share with you our annual report. Our lawyers are still on the ground providing free legal services. I think we should give them a big hand clap. With their willingness to do this, it is my hope that the government will be willing to pitch in for the resources that we need, because even our partners and donors have been looking forward to a sustainable way of increasing access to justice. Our Honourable Minister, the second matter that I would raise is the matter of governance. We've had many positions that have lain vacant for long, and a lot of catch-up is going to be needed. We're glad that in the last quarter, in the quarter before that, there were appointments that were made in the IGG and Human Rights Commission. I'm hoping that we will also make sure that other key offices on governance are not left vacant because of the problems this raises. We also have, lastly, as I go into this meeting, the impact of our students being out of school for the last 2 years. This is going to be a generational problem, Honourable Minister. I was talking to somebody the other day, and a lot of schools in northern Uganda, this is somebody who is doing research right now, boys are not going back to school. We've been struggling with the problem of girls. About 38,000 girls were impregnated during the lockdown, are having issues right now because they're young mothers from 13 and above. But we also have boys who found jobs and who found lucrative ways to earn a living while they were out of school, and they are not going back to school. This is a problem, Honourable Minister, in a country where we thought we'd made progress with UPE and USE. We will have to have strategies because this is going to actually impact on the issues of justice in this country. Criminality is on the increase. We have a lot of youth now that do not want to go to school because they do not see, but because the last 2 years have taken a toll on us, we cannot even compete favorably. These young people, to compete favorably in the next 5 to 10 years when they're in the job market, is going to be difficult. We're going to have to be innovative. We're going to have to ask our stakeholders, like you, Honorable Minister, to champion the injection of more resources in the capacity building of our youth, because what we have done to them with these last 2 years, unfortunately, is something that they will pay for when we are no longer here. On a brighter note, there have been positives in this quarter. I'll start with the good things. Can I start with the good things? Or should I end with them? Pardon? As Africans, we like to end with the good things because we are superstitious. Yes? So let me start with the positives for the beginning. We had the newly appointed IGG launching the lifestyle audit. We want to applaud this as the Uganda Law Society because this is going to increase accountability. It's also going to put a new tune to what it means to account, what it means to live a life that reflects your living. We have a lot of people that have gone away for corruption scandals, but nothing is done that touches their wealth. They go enjoy their prison sentences in luxury. Honorable Minister, I'm sure you know some of these people. And then they come back and enjoy their ill-gotten gains. We are hoping that benchmarks will be made because even great people like Martha Stewart have been caught by the law, and these things come out of things like lifestyle audits. So welcome that move from the IGG, and we hope that it shall be implemented with fervor. We have the launch of the 22nd and the 23rd Uganda Human Rights Annual Reports. This is a mandatory duty of the Uganda Human Rights Commission, and they were unable to do this for 2 years, but we applaud them for just immediately after they were appointed, they actually released these reports according to their obligation under Article 52(2) of the 1995 Constitution, which requires the Commission to publish periodic reports and submit annual reports to Parliament. Now, these are very key because they reflect the state of human rights and freedoms in the country. This body is the constitutional body that should have a voice on this matter. So we think that this was a highlight and a positive that will raise the issues that need to be raised for these 2 years. We also had a meeting that was held to settle cross-border impediments between Uganda and Kenya. Honorable Minister, we have had problems that seem to come from a failure as Africans to lead beyond our needs. I think we need to lead beyond our needs, beyond our selfishness. In the wake of the African Free Continental Trade Area, in the wake of the fact that everybody in the African Union is looking at the East African community as a story that used to be a success story, we have suffered a lot of non-tariff barriers, from Kenya, from our brothers in Kenya. Of course, we've also had, border closures and other things that show that much as our technical people, technocrats are signing agreements and protocols, our leaders do not seem to have any willingness to fulfill these. We have a lot of traders. Somebody told me we have about 10,000 liters of milk being poured daily because of these non-tariff barriers. You have heard what the egg farmers are saying, the chicken farmers, and all the people that are suffering with their maize. We have a huge overload and surplus of sugar that is rotting away in stores. And this is, again, because of non-tariff barriers. I am informed, sadly, that our brothers in Kenya are even importing some things from Europe, just so we don't. So we were glad that this meeting that was held in Nairobi in December 2021. However, we are hoping that we shall see real results. As Uganda Law Society, we have been talking to the Ministry of Trade and also the PSFU that we are willing to take this matter to the East African Court of Justice. But as you remember, we also have a pending order from the East African Court of Justice on a similar issue, and up to date, Kenya still has not come forward to obey this court order. So, Honorable Minister, I'm hoping that this is also something we'll look into, but we're glad that the Ministries of Agriculture for both countries are working on this. We have had issues, now to the bad news, or to the issues that we need to talk about. Under transparency and accountability, the right to health brought out the ugliness in all of us globally in COVID-19. Incidents of commercialization of public health services were noted in the quarter. In Uganda, in particular, we had health workers in Lira Regional Referral Hospital selling fake COVID-19 vaccination cards. It's bad enough to sell the authentic ones, but selling fake ones. Because what this means is that people are being exposed. When you go to a meeting and they tell you everybody has a vaccination card, there's a false sense of security that you have. And this is criminal. We had this happening, if you look in a rule of law report, and we also had health workers vaccinating at a fee. Yet we know the government policy. The government had already purchased these vaccines and even received some free of charge, for instance, from the French embassy, and they're being sold. We think this is criminal, and we urge the police. We thank the police for what they've done so far, but we hope that a serious, strict example will be given for this. But we also think that we need stricter laws when it comes to issues like this, because these are issues of life and death. Failure to account in public offices was something that we saw continually, starting with the case in point of Mbara city leaders failing to account for money spent on roadworks. This happened at City Hall on November 19th, 2020, where they failed to account before the Public Accounts Committee for money spent on roadworks under the Uganda Support to Municipal Infrastructure Development and Construction of Schools. As the Uganda Law Society, on the issue of governance and accountability, we make the following recommendations. Would like to demand that thorough investigations on the misappropriation of funds, abuse of office, and unethical conduct should be done, and the culprits brought to book. I think we have very beautiful reports in the Hansard from these parliamentary committees, naming and shaming and providing evidence, but we've seen very little action taken. Our Honourable Minister, it is our hope that we shall have the IGG and other officials take charge, CID, and ensure that these people are prosecuted. The Public Health Act 281 should be amended to correspond to the current structure of institutions and emerging issues of public health. It was mentioned in a report on the review of health policies and laws by Dr. Emmanuel Kasimbazi that penalties imposed under the Act are too low. If somebody gives you a fake vaccine, we had 300 people in the other quarters that were injected with fake vaccines. That's attempted murder, because we do not know what that is. If someone injects a bubble of air in your bloodstream, you can die from that. So we need the Public Health Act to be amended, and we hope we're going to work together with the Ministry of Health. We were already discussing this to see that this is worked on, and also public service. The office of the IGG, we believe, should be equipped and entrusted and empowered to fight corruption. Political leaders should stop interfering with the work of the office of the IGG, and we hope that they shall be provided the constitutional protection that is due them. The State House Anti-Corruption Unit should be, we advise, disbanded, as its functions can be properly and lawfully executed by the IGG that is duly mandated to do so under the Constitution. Or it can be recomposed to actually fortify the IGG in their duty. We also recommend that the President of the Republic of Uganda should, in our opinion, should really desist from utterances that appear to encourage corrupt tendencies. People have gotten a habit of running when they're about to be caught by the law, of running to His Excellency and misleading him or misguiding him to write letters that usually interfere with prosecutions. And this we need to request His Excellency to put a stop to, and the people in his office. The institutions tasked with the mandate to fight corruption should not use the law to witch hunt political opponents. This is something that we've seen happening because it delegitimizes their other work. We need them to focus on the job that they've been asked to do, and we hope that the police will look into those that are abusing their office to prosecute political rivals. There's need for increased advocacy. There is need for increased advocacy to fight the vice of corruption, and total budgets for each project in a particular area should be made public. Honorable Minister, this is something the Uganda Law Society has called on before, to have budgets made public, accounted for publicly, and we also believe that extensions, especially on projects, when somebody goes for an extension on a project, they should show that they've absorbed at least 75% of the funds that they're asking an extension on, because this will increase our ability to execute projects and accountability for this money. The Uganda Law Society recommends the government commit to implementing decisions and recommendations made by the PAC and by the COSASE. The state of human rights. Under the state of human rights, we had the breach of economic rights under the East African Community Law. I've already talked about some of these non-tariff barriers, but we also had a case of impounding of 5 Kenyan trucks carrying fish to DRC. We had a ban on the exportation of our eggs and poultry products to Kenya. We have had inequalities and transparency in the ECOP Special Provisions Bill of 2021. Your Excellency, Honorable Minister, on the ECOP bill, this is the East African, the pipeline, Special Provisions Bill. We have Tanzania ring fencing services, professional services of its, on the pipeline, for instance, legal services. But in Uganda, despite the presentations by the Uganda Law Society to the Parliamentary Committee on Legal Affairs, we still have had a bill sent to the President for assenting that removes legal services from ring fencing. What this means is that Ugandan lawyers will not have a say in who is providing legal services on the pipeline. Now, if we're going to carry out negotiations for this country, and Tanzania has already protected their lawyers, I do not see why Uganda does not do the same. The issue of capacity is solved when you ring fence it for Ugandan advocates. Then Ugandan advocates are the ones that are going to choose which foreign advocates they're going to partner with for capacity. If we do this, Honorable Minister, we shall actually ensure that we do not lose a lot of legal revenue to foreign law firms. But also, having looked at COVID-19 and looking at oil and the oil and petroleum opportunities for our professionals, if we do not do things like ring fencing, then we are actually not empowering our professionals to recover from the pandemic. Our recommendations is that steps should be taken to strengthen the structures of the East African community to facilitate the process of dispute resolution among partner states. We know that the Common Market Protocol was signed and adopted, but it is not being followed because there's no proper enforcement. Since its admission to the Extractive Industry Transparency Initiative, the ETI, in August 2020, we also recommend that Uganda should take steps to demonstrate transparency by availing these oil agreements to the public, among other requirements. On a good note, I want to thank the government for availing these agreements to the parliamentary committees that were dealing with these bills, but we're also hopeful that we shall have public hearings when it comes to such important protocols being signed on the behalf of the people of Uganda. The cabinet should uphold the economic and social-cultural interests of Ugandan people while making decisions on legislations. Why we raise this is that the ECOP bill issues that we raised as the Law Society were not considered when they got to Parliament. That's when they were cut out of the bill, and we hope, our Honourable Minister, that before the President has sent to it, some corrections will be made. We also would like the Parliament and Cabinet to ensure that the economic rights of Ugandans are protected and the 2040 goals upheld, emphasizing local content, prioritization and capacity development in all regional negotiations on all protocols. It's a global market, and if we do not negotiate for our people, the people with the voices are in Cabinet, Honourable Minister. The people with the voices are in Parliament. We need them to speak for the people of Uganda. We highly recommend that partner states should desist from making unilateral decisions to impede the achievements of the objectives of establishing the East African community. We have made various communications on this, and we hope that we can join hands with the government to continue with this. Protection of the right to life. Article 3 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and Article 22 of the 1995 Constitution provide for the right to life. In spite of these regulations, we've had several things happening. In the quarter, we had mob justice events that have led to the loss of life of motorcyclists, of other people. And one of the things that is happening here is it is not made any better when even state agents are involved in extrajudicial killings. We have the response. First of all, I'll also highlight the 2 deadly suicide bombings that we had in October 25th. And the discovery that, the ADF were involved, and we have a lot of Ugandans that are involved in this. This is something that is also an issue on the right to life. But we've seen also the response of the state delegitimizing any possible prosecutions in the way these people were being, the suspects were being followed up and arrested. We had 5 suspected terrorists, including Awan Sheikh Mohammed Chirevu, killed in one of these arrests. And we, as the Uganda Law Society, we assert its previous recommendation that a proper policy and legal framework should be defined under which security forces should deal with suspects when charging and convicting them. No person should be deprived of the right to life without due process. The government, in partnership with civil society, should increase sensitization on the right to a fair hearing. Our Honourable Minister, we are in the process of partnering with the UPDF, and I think that's something we're also working on with the police to see how we can also enhance the capacity of our forces when it comes to human rights. But we also request that efforts geared towards increasing discipline in the forces and increasing accountability when mistakes are made. People should be seen to be held accountable. Would like to see the trials and the prosecution of the officers that are abusing their power during the course of their duty. The adverse impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on the rights of children, I have already hinted on the educational issue, but we've seen, of course, the pregnancies, the gender-based violence. We had parents trading refugee girls for sex in the lockdown. If you look at the situational impact of COVID-19 on school-going children, we also had, of course, increasing teenage pregnancy, and unfortunately, something we thought we had moved away from, increasing cases of female genital mutilation. This was during the quarter. Our recommendations on this, and I'll highlight a recent issue again that keeps popping up, the issue of our girls who are being taken, it's almost trafficking. When you take someone to go and work in the UAE and their life is destroyed and they have no access, you take away their passport, you take away their contact from their family, you literally destroy them and you're an agency and you're not held accountable. Honorable Minister, we hope, especially to the police, that investigations will be carried out on all the agencies that are doing these recruitments, that policies will be created. We want our people to be employed, but our people are human beings and they have human rights. And I think that government needs to take this up at a higher level and sign agreements with those governments that will keep their people accountable. Barring that, then this, Honorable Minister, we request that there should be a ban on importation of labor unless we have bilateral agreements with these countries that are going to protect our Ugandan citizens. Because what we are seeing on the television, what we saw from that child, that girl that has been destroyed, she'll never be okay again. They stole a kidney from her, and she's just gone to be a house help. I think we saw this last night in the news. Our Honorable Minister, we have had also the rights of other children being affected by some acts, some careless acts. There are accidents that happen, but recently we saw some 2 girls who were knocked by a UPDF vehicle, and up to now, they've not received any help. And they've been, I think one of them lost her arm completely, and they have absolutely no help. We thank the Fourth Estate for always raising these things, and we hope that, Honorable Minister, these issues will be looked into. I'm sure the police and the Fourth Estate have these details, and we can follow up. As Uganda Law Society, when these people need legal services, we'll be available to provide them. Our recommendations on the right of children, we need to ensure, to protect the right of children to attain education. As I said before, we need to ensure that we help our children recover from the 2-year period. The government, together with community-based organizations, should economically empower women, girls, and those involved in carrying out acts of female genital mutilation. We also need the perpetrators of these evils that we've talked about to face the full arm of the law. We call upon the police, local council, and villagers to be empowered and handle cases of the FGM and all these other cases that we've seen. We'd like to call upon the Fourth Estate. The Uganda Law Society has a toll-free number. I don't know where it is, but it's 0800 100 150. If they need some legal help, we're available. We also have community-based organizations here and shelters. We wanted to thank the Ministry of Gender for re-establishing the shelters. We need these shelters to be put to use, especially to victims of violence. We had the sexual offences bill passed, and everybody has been voicing their dissatisfaction with it. But there are certain good things in that bill that we should not lose. The registration of sex offenders. As we open schools, Honorable Minister, there are many recruitments happening, and there are very many repeat sexual offenders that are now being recruited to take care of our children in schools. We need this bill, this law to be put in effect, or as the parliamentarians debate on the rightness or wrongness of it, we really need the police to get involved, and let's have at least this register of sex offenders. and have people held accountable. I'm glad that you also had the public service, Honorable Minister. I hope that as they carry out recruitments for schools, that these cases will be looked into. Having the St. Lawrence story, for instance, just unveiled what evil can be wrought on children when we do not supervise the adults that take care of them. We need Parliament and the Executive to be gender responsive in preparing legislation by prioritizing passage into law of pending bills, including this legal aid bill, the sex offences bill, the minimum wage bill, and the succession amendment bill. The right to health, we have seen this abused over and over. We had medical practitioners in Bale Referral Hospital selling blood to patients. We had a directive on vacation of hospital premises by medical interns, which caused great problems. We know that we're going to have financial crisis, we're going to have labor issues, but we have to find a way of protecting our people from these issues. Our recommendations is that medical practitioners or any other party found selling blood should face the full arm of the law, and stringent measures should be put in place aimed at reducing the sale of blood by medical workers. The medical interns have a right to exercise industrial action. My fellow president of the medical profession was also arrested while carrying out industrial action. And this is a right, and I hope that their problems can be resolved with dialogue and proper planning as opposed to what we saw meted on the medical interns. We recommend that government should develop a policy which guides the operation of medical interns in the country, and because of the service that they provide and the power that they have. Most of our Center 4s can probably not afford to keep a doctor 24/7. So medical interns are very important in these places, and they are already graduates. That's what we need to also understand, that they're already graduates, they're already qualified, they are in training. So we need to treat them differently and stop thinking that they're just hanging around hospitals and they're not qualified. On the security situation in the country, our Honorable Minister, we hope that the government shall prioritize the safety of every citizen by deploying security check-up points in most cities and central business centers in Uganda. We've seen increased criminality. The public should be sensitized to stay on high alert and take security precautions when in public areas. We want to applaud the police. They were doing some serious community policing business a few years ago. Hope that this can be revived. The suspects involved in bomb attacks should be brought before the courts of law and tried and prosecuted properly without compromising their prosecution through acts of torture that will legitimize their prosecution and probably have it thrown out. The government should invest in more sophisticated technology to deal with modern criminals rather than relying on the outdated and rudimentary ways of torturing suspects for information. We have a very well-trained security force. We have seen our defense budgets. Our Honorable Minister, it is our hope that this money can be put to good use so that we get to the level of developed countries when it comes to interrogation and investigation techniques. Thank you very much. I know I've spoken for too long, but that's a long summary of the report. Our Honorable Minister, I would be remiss if I did not ask us to stand up for a moment of silence for our deceased Bank of Uganda governor. May his soul rest in eternal peace. We shall have a plenary, but I'd like to take this honor to invite our Honorable Minister of Public Service, and today our Honorable Acting Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs, Honorable Muruli Mukasa, who I call a man of action, to come and address us. I know I've raised many issues, and we know that this is your inaugural moment in your office, but I do hope that you'll be able to address us. Thank you very much. Please welcome with me the Honorable Minister.
Thank you. Thank you very much indeed. Madam Fiona Navasa, President of the Law Society, the Honorable Member from Nakawa, the Chief Executive Officer of the Uganda Law Society, and members of the Uganda Law Society, representatives, dignitaries in your respective capacities, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to wish you a very good day. Our development partners, good day to you. I wish to bring you warm greetings from the Ministry of Justice and Constitutional Affairs. This is the first engagement I have had as Acting Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs. And I'm grateful that I was invited by the Law Society to participate in this very important exercise of launching the quarterly report. I take it as an honor and a privilege. Well, the resume of the report has been given to us. There's a lot that has been covered. The good and the bad. And I think it has come out at the right time, as indeed we begin the new year. Therefore, the issues raised in that report should actually be given focus in the course of the year. And where it is possible to make improvements, we make those improvements. Where good solutions can be found for some of the challenges, then we get those solutions. But it is always important to take stock of what is happening around us and to take whatever has happened as a learning point, and we move ahead. But the guiding principle is that, yes, we move ahead for the better, not for the worse. And we move in that direction, basing on lessons learned from what has happened. So I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the President of the Law Society and her team for this effort. Thank you very much indeed. And also, of course, to draw mention or attention to the rule of law developments that have taken place during the last 3 or 4 months. And it is indeed gratifying to note that the Uganda Law Society is living up to its mandate of ensuring that the rule of law is upheld, of ensuring that there is access to justice for all, and also good governance being promoted in the country. So thank you very much indeed. But also maintaining the aspect of partnership in this entire exercise of making sure that the rule of law obtains. You know, the last 2 years have been very difficult for us as a country because of the COVID-19 pandemic. And I must commend government, but also ourselves as Ugandans for having made sure that the COVID-19 fatalities don't get out of hand. So I'd like to thank you for having taken all the necessary steps to keep alive. Thank you very much. I think that's the way to go. We should actually make sure that in these other post-COVID-19 developments, we still struggle and keep alive in order to fulfill higher objectives regarding this very important sector of law and order. Yes, there have been issues that have come up, issues to do with the rule of law during the period of the pandemic, issues which have been raised, for instance, by the President in terms of school-going children, those getting married, those going to work, and at the end of the 2 years, maybe they find going to school not attractive or not actually a priority. Yes, it's unfortunate that this has happened. However, I think there are measures that probably will be taken or have been proposed to be taken to make sure that we do not have that gap. We don't lose out on a generation. You know, those 2 years, people actually not continuing with education. So there have been a good number of proposals, some kind of flexibility, some kind of sympathetic or considerate approach. For instance, to child mothers who are pregnant or who have produced, at least the bar has been lowered a bit to make sure that, yes, at an appropriate time, those mothers can go back to school. Yes. And this is a very far, it's really a wide departure from the strict moralistic approach. Some time back in the 60s or 50s, such a child not be allowed in school. It would have been considered irreligious, for instance, to allow a young mother back to school. But now, because of better information, saying no. And sometimes some of these happenings are not designed, really, they're not conscious. Somebody maybe has not moved out for a young girl, for instance, not moved out just to get pregnant, but circumstances are, yes, maybe they've been deceived, maybe in the process of doing these things, they end up with a pregnancy which is unwanted. Now in that case, yes, We can't be so punitive and say, look, you're pregnant, therefore you're condemned. No. And also our laws really do not allow easy abortion. You know, abortion is allowed under certain life-threatening circumstances. So why not? Why can't you produce your child, then go back to school? But you have also said, okay, if it is possible to go to school with your pregnancy, that's okay. However, there are complications about this. Issues of stigma, issues of this and that, and of course, somebody who is pregnant, the school environment might not be a conducive one. You want to handle someone who is pregnant. The teachers probably are not the right people, maybe, to handle such cases. So the best thing is, yes, get over your pregnancy, find where you can leave this baby, maybe after 6 months or 8 months, and then you go back to school. That option is there. So measures are being taken to make sure that really the COVID pandemic does not make a generation lose. Doesn't make the generation lose. Yes, a few erosions on some of the rights have happened, but the consoling thing is that this is not the policy, or it's not the rule that, yes, we are there, this has happened, or that's part of our policy, and people are not sensitive, particularly those in charge. They are not sensitive to what is going on, but whatever could have happened is actually an exception. And that, yes, important measures definitely are being taken, if not now, but will be taken to ensure that such errant officials or people who abuse, who violate rights and so on are brought to book. In other words, nobody in this arrangement with the right partners everywhere will just blatantly abuse the rights of others. So, in addition to using the law, there are also other measures really being tried to make sure, which are innovative, to make sure that the different happenings regarding human rights abuse and what have you are actually handled, and that with time we actually go progressively towards the desired end. Gone are the days when people would abuse people's rights, especially people in power or elders or whatever group, but a group which has some privilege, which has some power, abusing rights, and walking away scot-free. And also even boasting about it. So those days are gone, and I think they will not come back. Why? Because rule of law really remains a foundational stone for the efficient functioning of our democratic governance systems. And it is only by adhering to the rule of law that timely and quality justice can be delivered. It's adhering to rule of law that public confidence can be reinforced in the law and the promotion of basic human rights. In other words, the advantages of adhering to the rule of law much outweigh the other side, the disadvantages of not adhering to the rule of law. So it is to everybody's benefit to make sure that we adhere the rule of law and we promote it and we move forward. Government is committed to upholding the rule of law in Uganda. This is provided for in the Constitution. The respect given to various international instruments and to the framework, legal, cultural, otherwise, that has been put in place to ensure that the aspect of rule of law is upheld, promoted, and nurtured. So government will continue to engage with the various stakeholders in this respect, and of course, with the Law Society, to continue fighting for access to justice, upholding the rule of law in the country. And I would like to urge all of you here, always when you are called upon, to ensure that justice prevails in everything that we do. The President has raised very many issues regarding the rule of law. These issues have been noted, and I think we are going to look at the report quite seriously, and together with all of you, really sit down and see what improvements we need to take so that these improvements actually take place. They're not just talked about, or we just don't sit in a room here and wish that there could be improvements. That's the beginning. But after that, we should get down real on the ground to see that whatever improvement has been proposed is practically and tangibly put into effect. That is only when, if that happens, that's when we can say, yes, we've done a good job, and we do not regret at all having sat here, having exerted our effort, mental or otherwise, in making sure that the rule of law takes a solid foundation and it's of benefit to us as a community, and also enhances whatever we are doing. Once again, let me thank the President of the Law Society for all the initiatives she's taken. I'd like to thank the members of the Law Society for what they are doing and remaining very good and solid, patriotic and dependable partners with government to make sure that the rule of law, human rights, and whatever goes on to making a civilized society and a civilized community obtains. Thank you very much. I would like, once again, to re-echo that we shall take heed of the issues which have been raised in the report and the subsequent recommendations, and together we shall do something about those issues. Thank you very much, and I wish you fruitful deliberations for God and my country.
Please give our Honorable Minister another hand clap. Our guest of honor, we have a tradition here. I would like you to come and do us the honor of launching this report. I'll ask someone to remove this. Our tradition is there's no ribbon to cut, but we stand here with our copies. And I'll invite our Honorable Member of Parliament, our representative from... I also wanted to recognize our council member, Central, Mr. Kemiskto. We are in his district right now. Our CEO, please. Can we get copies? Our development partners should join us here, but I really would like to have our representative from JLOS, Mr. Mudoi. Honorable Minister, this report, the making of it, is supported heavily by JLOS. Let's give them a big hand clap. I'll also ask the Deputy CEO to join us. She's the head of Rule of Law, of the Rule of Law Department, Development Partners. Thank you very much. So we'll have this, then we're going to have another photo that is traditional with everybody. Thank you very much. I'd like you to, I'll just hold it for you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, distinguished members of this meeting, it is now my singular honor to launch the Rule of Law Report 2021 of the fourth quarter of 2021. The report is hereby launched.
Thank you so much. Can we have our Honorable Minister sit? This is your first picture with the Honorable Minister of Justice. And we invite the rest of the room. Please come and join us in our photo. It's very important for everyone to see that you are here. You received this report, especially our brother, Afande, please. Oh, Afande Twine from CID, we've raised a lot of issues for you, a lot of people to arrest, so we hope that we'll have you here. Members, please don't leave. We're going to have a short plenary that I'm going to invite our council member to come and host this plenary, Mr. Kemisto. You'll just take questions and comments for either Uganda Law Society or the Honorable Minister. Again, thank you so much, Honorable Minister. Those were warming remarks. And we are going to look forward to working with you on these commitments.
Thank you very much, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Allow me briefly thank the Secretariat team, led by our Deputy CEO, who is also the head of the Rule of Law Department, that comes up with this report. Leah, Mary, Rita, and the rest of the team, please stand up. Members, this is the team that comes up with these quarterly publications. Allow me also to recognize the presence of Kobusinje Mary from Uganda Prison Services. You're welcome. Madam Gloria Balo from the Inspector General of Government, you're welcome. Mr. Goddard, the other name is difficult, from Islamic University of Uganda. Moses Mulondo from Uganda Parliamentary Press Association, as well as Tumusime Apollo from the Parliamentary Association, Mr. Twine Charles from the CID, you're welcome. The spokesperson of the PRO. I don't know what's the difference, PRO and spokesperson, but you're welcome, sir. Nina A. Biaruhanga from the UN Women, you're welcome. Biarugaba. Olivia from LapsNet, you're welcome. Dr. Kaija, forgive me, the other name is Kaija from the Australian Embassy, you're welcome, Doctor. Katya. Musa, you're good at these names. Stephanie Van Melsi from the Belgian Embassy, you're welcome. Mr. Fred Sechindi from UN Human Rights, you're welcome. Mr. Musa Mudoi from Colleagues Forgive Us. It has since changed to Governance and Security Sector, formerly jealous. So forgive us for this, but we hope to make the change. But officially, it changed to Governance and Security. Musa, forgive us for that, but you're welcome. Yes. We also have members of the Rule of Law Club of Makerere University, colleagues from Imran Advocates, Mrs. Leturu Prudence from the EU, the delegation from the EU, you're welcome. We have colleagues from Makerere University Law Society, you're welcome. The Honorable MP for Nakawa Nakawa West, Mr. Joel Senyonyi, you're welcome. As well as colleagues from the Rule of Law Club of the UC Uganda Christian University and IUIU. Colleagues, we shall recognize others as we come along. Thank you.
I'm Chemisto, for those who have not known me. I'm the Council Representative Central. I'm taking charge of the plenary session. Once again, I thank the Honorable Minister, Muruli Mukasa, Acting Minister for Justice and Constitutional Affairs, for having honored our invitation, and also for honorably launching the report. And I also, special thanks also to the President, Uganda Law Society, for the presenting the report. And let me go straight to the session. We heard so much about the report through the presentation. If there are any comments from our partners or anyone, if there are any comments, remarks you would want to make concerning the report. Do you have the second mic? Okay. All right, gentleman at the back, it's okay, you can. Since there is no mic, let me.
The second mic is faulty.
Thank you very much. My name is Moses Mulondo. I am the president of Uganda Parliamentary Press Association. If I make my brief comment, I would like to appreciate the Minister Muruli Mukasa for being a man of high integrity, because for all the years he has been minister, I have never had him involved in any corruption scandal. So and yet he has been a minister for so long. So I want to commend him and appreciate him for being a unique leader, because many of our leaders are very corrupt. The president of Uganda Law Society talked about the issue of economic rights of Ugandans, and this also relates with the docket for Honorable Mululi Mukasa. I would like to get a response from him. The issue of the discrepancies in the salaries of the civil servants, that you find people having the same qualifications doing similar work in different government entities, one earning 1 million and another one earning 30 millions. And Honorable Mululi Mukasa, I know that for so long there has been a government plan to harmonize the salaries for civil servants, but you are the person in charge. I would like to know why you are dragging your feet for so long. This is long overdue. It's an issue of economic rights of Ugandans. It's about addressing the unfairness. I remember recently you increased the salaries for the permanent secretaries to about 15 millions. But the people who come close to them, who do almost similar work, continue to get peanuts. And this is one of the reasons why actually corruption continues to be so high, because you have many government officials who are in charge of billions of money, but they are being paid peanuts. So I'd like to know, Honorable Minister Mululi Mukasa, when are you going to complete this process of harmonizing the salaries for civil servants, because it has taken so long? As I conclude, we would like to thank Uganda Law Society that they also invited us as Uganda Parliamentary Press Association, and you know we play a very fundamental role. I have seen previous reports of quarterly reports where you had a specific component on the media. This time it's missing, and you know that the media is very fundamental in influencing the national agenda and even in fighting for the rights and freedoms of other categories of Ugandans. I pray that next time in your next report you will have a separate section on the state of press freedom in the country. Because as I finish, as you are aware, like for instance, since 2013, when the Uganda Communications Act was enacted, government has failed to constitute the Communications Tribunal. And because of the absence of that tribunal, we now have UCC acting as the complainant, the prosecutor, and the judge. And I expect that some of these issues will come up in your next reports. Thank you very much.
with all the actors in the justice sector. Thank you very much for that. Thank you, the President of the Law Society. Thank you, Fiona, and your team for the report. I completely understand, and it's very interesting that, of course, these reports have to reflect, you know, the challenges and the very actual challenges we had during, you know, the last reporting period. But I also want to still bring out the big bottlenecks in access of justice, also particularly in front of the minister. And those who know me, I'm always singing the same song, so forgive me. But I really want to bring out also in line with what the minister said, the rule of law, you know, and the big challenges we still have in Uganda in terms of timely access to justice. So I want to end. We have someone from CID. Thank you very much also. So adherence to the 48-hour rule. I can't remember for how long this has been an issue in Uganda, and there are many reasons why, you know, CID or prosecution is saying this is not, this is not a very realistic time frame. Yes, but it's the law at the moment. So otherwise the law has to be changed. So it should really be adhered to. And I really also would want to see some data from the police on that. Currently, in all of Uganda, how many people have overstayed beyond the 48 hours in the police cells, for example. This data, we don't have it. So maybe we can work all together on gathering the data and then finding a way forward. Next one, also regarding pretrial detention, but now in the prisons. So we have people who have stayed on remand for capital offenses over 6 months. So 6 months is the time period for mandatory bail, but very often before the 6 months clock, these people are committed to the High Court. So what does that mean? That means that after that time frame, there is no maximum period anymore. So these people can legally stay waiting to be heard in court for years and years without any law being violated. So I think that's really something to look into also. And then, together with that, the criminal sessions. We all know that right now in Uganda, in terms of criminal law, we have a system of criminal sessions. That means that judges and resident judges upcountry don't hear criminal cases on a rolling basis, but in sessions. So, for example, a judge from, let's say, Masaka, the resident judge, would travel to Fort Portal and hear in a criminal session 40 cases. And it's always 40 cases. I think Musa helped me. It's 40, right? Yeah. 40 cases in a criminal session. So if you've waited in prison there for 2 years and now it's your time, but you're number 42, you might wait for another year or another year, just to tell your story. And that also goes now, you also have to look at the conviction rates of the prosecution. I don't know what the conviction rate is now, but some years ago it was a bit above 50%. So that would mean every other person is waiting in prison innocently to be given a chance to tell their story. And that has a big economic impact and social economic impact also. You're in prison, you know, someone else marries your wife, someone takes your land. So all these issues should be considered. So I wanted to bring that up as one of the big challenges that have been there for decades, and I hope that together we can work on them. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kaija, for raising that issue. Actually, I think the president will be in better position to answer that. Then can we have about 2 more? Then we go to the replies, and then we shall have another round.
I guess it is still good morning. My name is Farouk Kasule. I work with New Vision. And my question shoots directed to the President, Uganda Law Society. And this is in relation to pregnant children. It's a topical issue, but when you were speaking, you didn't give recommendation to the government. Would like to know the recommendation, because I'm also more interested in this. You were condemning government. These people were in the hands of their parents. We are not interrogating that. 2, what do you want the government to do for children who actually didn't get pregnant? What if you mix these 2? What generation are you going to have? What communications are you making to the kids? We should interrogate that. I am having my daughter, is free, she has waited, another one is impregnated. Are you not, isn't this being simplistic to tell, are you telling the others that you can also get married and again be in school? What do you want government to do? We need the answer there before we condemn. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Farouk Kasule. Any other? Okay.
Thank you, everyone here. Thank you, Uganda Law Society team, that's the president and the team, because for me, to me, the report is so rich. Thank you so much, whoever participated in this. One thing that has always been disturbing me is about the labor that moves out of our country. But this time, at least, President was able to answer my question, and I really wondered whether we had agreements, because our labor is so being exploited outside there. Now, one thing again that is disturbing me, Madam President, this time I don't know which answer you'll give me. It's about the civilians being tried in the court martial. This thing has really gone on for so long, and I think at the end of the day, we need a solution to this. Thank you so much.
Okay, you never introduced yourself, Queen.
My name is Olivia Grace Nakaomba, and I work with the Gate Service Providers Network.
Thank you so much. And one more thing is we should restrict ourselves to the report, the quarterly report, as summarized by the President. Okay. So
thank you so much. My name is Sudil Biarhanga from NTV. I would like to know from Uganda Law Society, you said you provide legal aid as lawyers. You're about 4,000. These children we are talking about who got pregnant during the holiday, there are thousands and thousands of them, the girls. And completely you don't see a story or anybody saying from all entities in government and law society that you're trying to also bring justice, to ensure these children access justice. Because I know some of them, most of them, you find they were either defiled by neighbors, relatives, parents, so, and police on your side. Should we just look at it as a burden and then we are, we leave it aside and then these children give birth and then tomorrow we say defilement is wrong? Or are we not justifying it already by not taking action against these parents, also others who are involved in defiling these girls? Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, we can, I think, have replies for that, and then we shall take another set of questions. To begin with the Honorable Minister for a comment. Someone asked about the salaries, what measures are being taken to see that some salaries are harmonized. The mic?
Yeah, I would prefer, yes, so that I can talk when I'm looking at the people, instead of people looking at the back of my head.
Okay. Maybe you can use this.
Well, this one has been treated. Thank you very much. Yes, at the moment, there are salary disparities between different categories of public servants. Yes, and certainly this has been noted. Fortunately, it's not going to be the norm. One way really to show that it's not the norm, we carried out the principles of, we formulated principles of salary enhancement. We worked out the structure as Minister of Public Service. We presented all this to Cabinet 2018, and Cabinet agreed, where we worked out a good structure from the highest paid public servant to the lowest. And we set ourselves a time frame when this could be achieved. So the essence is that, yes, we use a single spine. In others, like we used to have, let's say in the 60s or 70s, we really have a grade or a grading of these salaries from the highest paid public servant, who in this case should be really the Chief Justice, and then up to the lowest paid servant, who should be a driver or nursing orderly, whatever in that level. And through a process of comparison and computation and looking at our economy and making projections, we proposed a figure. If all goes well, or if everything had gone on well as we're anticipating, the lowest paid public servant would be a driver or office attendant, would be in the region of 1.2 million if all had gone well. And we had, from 2018, 2019, we thought this process would take us about, at most really 4 years. But we had aimed at 3 years. 2022 would actually be there. We have a harmonized pay structure, and we have also the pay enhancement. However, when we did that, it was because of the tightness of the budget and other competing priorities and requirements. It was not possible to continue with that process. So we more or less paid the first installment. We raised salaries for a number of cadres, first teachers inclusive, the low-ranked security officers, and then our health workers and so on. We thought this would continue so that come 22-23, we have a harmonized salary structure, and in addition to an enhanced pay for all our public servants. But things came in actually to interfere, natural disasters, locusts, floods, then COVID came in as well, and then in the east, the mountains cracking and so on. So all this, but of course also some security considerations as well. So the money we had anticipated to use in the pay structure, of course, was channeled to these other urgent issues, so we could not have it. Nevertheless, we went ahead to at least enhance the salary of university professors, lecturers, and teachers. We also now continue to enhance the salary of the medical workers, especially the doctors, the interns, and so on. And up to last year, this financial year, we again said, okay, let's prioritize the enhancement. In view of the critical nature of the workers, critical in terms of having a very important but catalytic impact in the development of the country and in the economy. So when we have all public servants, then we see really, when we come to rank and prioritize, which ones are very critical in the rapid development of the country. So it's been found, and this is not just mere thinking, it's been found that the scientists are really very, very critical in the development of the country, the rapid development. And this is throughout history. Scientists, including, of course, the health workers, the doctors, the nurses, then the engineers, then the other categories, architects, and so these are very, very important. And if we are aiming at sustained, fast growth, and also aiming at stopping the brain drain, then let's first of all enhance these, let them at least temporarily be satisfied, and let them gain confidence in the system that they are serving, and they give us their unqualified service. And then afterwards, we can look at other cadres in the service. So that's the approach we've taken. It is a deliberate, strategic decision that we first concentrate on the scientists, because it is these with their knowledge and methods of work that will give us the knowledge and the impetus for us to develop very fast. After that, we can look at other categories, especially the other categories that we are going to consider after we have handled the scientists will be the administrative cadre, the human resource, and so on. Human resource as a discipline, because the scientist is also human resource, but human resource as a discipline, as a cadre, the administrators, and so on. So that's the approach we are taking. The other approach is, of course, to carry out a rationalization exercise in the service, to avoid the point here raised, that you have an engineer, for instance, in the case of UNRWA, for instance, you have an engineer in the Ministry of Works getting 1.2 million. Then another engineer, his brother or sister, going in UNRWA, getting something like 30 million. You know, why? Because the other engineer in UNRWA has joined an agency, and this one has remained in the main public service. And then you also now, the other one in the agency works and so on, is paid so richly, but then this one of 1.3 is one supposed to supervise and certify the work of the other one who is getting 30 million. And given our behavior, then of course, there is impunity. Even when this one comes to supervise, to ask a few things, the other one does not even listen. Says, who are you after all? I'm getting 10 times more than you. What are you talking about? Even forgets that he's also an engineer. Sometimes even bringing these people to order becomes difficult. Or even sitting down really to work out a common program becomes difficult. When you call the other person, he says, oh, I'm sorry, I'm just going for a conference in Geneva. So maybe, and it's going to take about 2 weeks. And maybe when I come back, that's when we can look at that issue. So you say, no, but you can't run government that way. You can't run a service that way. So why don't we rationalize? Yes, we have had enough time with these agencies and so on. We have seen what they have done, their best. We have seen their strengths and the weaknesses, but also maybe the intended benefits which we all hoped would accrue from this arrangement have not actually been realized. Instead, we have had this disharmony, we have had demoralization, money has gone into all these things, and in the end, we cannot have a service which you can bring to order. So we say, okay, let's rationalize. Let's have a single, a uniform salary structure, and maybe liberate some of the resources which are going to these agencies, so that at least we can now have some money to reward or to pay the rest of the service. So all these measures are being taken for that good cause to ensure that, yes, eventually we remove these discrepancies, we motivate the public servants, and we bring cohesion and unity. And then we have a center of authority, either the minister or whoever, the permanent secretary, who is respected. And then we can have a service that now gets back to its even keel and now serves the citizen with one mind. So this is what is happening. We are also now finalizing our proposals for a salary review board. The proposals, let's have a salary review commission. Well, a commission established by the Constitution. A commission is something very big. It implies it's going to be permanent and so on. It's one of the things which will also require a lot of funding. We're saying, okay, it is not necessary. Now that we are rationalizing, we are removing boards which are redundant, and all these other agencies and authorities, because they are everywhere, 157 of them. This is an authority, this is a board. Then you ask, what does the board do? Oh, we are here, we determine a few things. What about the ministry? The top management, what does it do? We're here. Now, really, what are you? So we thought, instead of having a commission, let's have a board of eminent people who can, from time to time, study the state of the economy, the status of the economy, and make recommendations and say, yes, now things have changed, the dynamics are these, changed like this. Also, our economy is now at this level. We can now grade the salary like this. And those recommendations, because they'll be from really experts, people who know. These will not just be people who are handpicked and say, okay, you go and be on the board. But people who know, economists, we have people knowledgeable in pension issues, all of them. Then they say, okay, maybe now, depending on the state of our economy, the lowest paid civil servant should be getting 1,500,000. That is a driver or office cleaner. Then the highest probably now should go up to 30 million. And they make calculations that, yes, with that, you can have a basket. You can at least afford a meal. You can afford to look after a small family of yourself and your wife, and most likely 2 children. Or, according to the UP, at least 4 children. And then we compare, yes, a civil servant in your category in Kenya, how much? In Rwanda, we compare among ourselves here in the region, and then some of the other areas outside, and say, okay. And also the cost of living, say, yeah, 1,500,000 is okay. And once they make that recommendation, then government automatically really says, okay, it is possible, we can sustain that. Because every small change like this has an effect, a ripple effect in the cadre, but also it has an effect on the pension. So we're making these, and very soon, really, our report is going to be debated in Cabinet, and I'm sure Cabinet will endorse. Then we shall go to Parliament to look at some of the laws which established some of these agencies and authorities and so, for the laws to be changed, that we bring back sanity. A few of the boards are doing nothing. Why should we keep them? Some activities which are being done by these very powerful agencies the major activity actually is to source for not funding, no. Just to award contracts. Ask for bids, they come in and they say, yeah, the best bidder is this one, and they award the contract, and that's it. They don't make anything, but just... Now, can't the normal ministry arrangements really award contracts? Can't they? So we keep those boards which make money. We keep boards like, for instance, instances where there's regulation. They're not making money, but they're regulatory. Let's keep them. And we also rationalize, like the case of UCC. UCC really should limit itself to certain aspects. It should not be the judge, it shouldn't be the accused, it shouldn't be the prosecutor, you know. Or if we have a tribunal, like this one which was mentioned, then let's have a tribunal which will be respected, which has no conflict of interest. If it's a tribunal about journalists, fine. But now if it's a tribunal also which can now frustrate journalists, before anything, it is taking action because it has that power. Oh, I'm now going to deregister you because then that's not a good tribunal, you know, or it's not good, not a good arrangement. So all these are being done really to rationalize some of these things in the interest, you know, of the general welfare and well-being of the country, but also in the interest of dispensing justice, that people are not unfairly treated because some people have been given extra powers. Now, the other one, was talking about labor, you know, labor export. Yes. Yes, for now, I think labor export will be encouraged for now because our arrangements to provide employment for every eligible person are not yet strong enough. We cannot provide employment for everybody. So now it's prudent and quite pragmatic to allow labor export. But we think this is going to be short-lived. I think if the programs of government go on very well, the parish model and the fact that we are going to be shifting from subsistence agriculture to commercial agriculture, and therefore agro-industrialization, there will be a lot of room, there will be space for employment. And it will not be necessary for people to go out to provide labor outside, especially labor in those lowly positions, maids, you know, just casual workers and so on. But for now, yes, it's happening. However, what has the government done? Yes, I think we have made some improvements from a situation where one would go out on his or her own, or even go through a neighboring country. And although he's from Uganda, says, okay, I'm a Kenyan. And when he gets there, there are problems. The Kenyans say, but we don't know you. Let's say the Kenyan ambassador in that particular place says, I don't know you. By your looks, I think you are Ugandan. Then the Ugandan person says, oh, but you came in through Kenya. I think you must be a Kenyan. So, and the fellow obviously gets no one to help. He's in a strange country, cannot speak the language, the local language. Then the people should be helping, actually, because of the papers or identification cannot help. Therefore, but even the way the fellow went is not regulated anywhere. So government has set up these labor export companies, given them guidelines, and there is also a law, and made sure that the people they take out, they at least are responsible for them. A number of bilateral agreements have been signed now, and I think a few more are going to be signed, particularly now with the UAE, the Emirates, I think another one with Kuwait very soon, so that the people who go out are protected by the law here, but also by the laws in the labor laws in the host countries. So that will certainly reduce the number of unfortunate incidents where people are exploited, some are killed or whatever, things happen and so on. And also before they go, people are prepared, because now there's now an arrangement in the country now for people who are going, especially for such menial jobs. They are introduced to the cultures, they're introduced even to the working conditions and so on, the expectations, that when they get there, they don't get into problems. What has been happening, people go, they don't know, they are promised all kinds of things, and they fall into hands of people who are unscrupulous, who are just making money out of them. Now when they get there, they get a different situation altogether. They feel they're overworked. And others maybe think, okay, if I go there, maybe I can do a few things which I've been doing in Kampala. You get some, now they prefer to call themselves workers. They are those vendors of natural resources. Sometimes you meet them along Speak, around Speak. So they think they can do that kind of thing in Dubai and so on. And they are given a shock. Such a thing doesn't happen. The police catches up with them and so on and so forth. Or they can make some extra coin by putting their fingers in the pocket of the boss. This cannot happen. There are cameras everywhere. There are all kinds of things. They see you. And those fellows are very harsh. You even don't know the language, so they mistreat them. So the training institutions put in place actually mention now all those things, that if you go there, go for work, you must not go without an agreement signed. And before you sign the agreement, read those little letters. You know, sometimes we don't pay attention. Because you're excited, you want to go, you've got the visa, they simply tell you, sign here, sign here, sign. And you sign quickly and go. Not knowing the import of what you are signing. It's only when disaster knocks and people pull out, start quoting, you see, you said here, you'd be working. See, but you say, yeah, but you put your signature. You forgot those little, those phrases in very small script. Forgot. And so you have nothing to do. You endure the suffering. Sometimes you come back. You went with nothing. You have come back with nothing. But you invested a lot. So all these things now are being taken care of by government. And in fact, the Ministry of Gender has gone very far now in streamlining. And now there are fewer cases of abuse. And we think with the time, they will actually not be there. For people who go through the proper channels, there will be fewer cases of exploitation by companies here. Getting money and then not even, when they get there, they were deceiving all these people. It's only now people who opt to go through unorthodox ways. So fellow tries to go through Kenya or through South Sudan or Rwanda. He's a Ugandan, but pretends to be of those nationalities. Then when he gets there, there's nobody to help, and has gone through somebody who also has no company at all, but says, okay, I can get you a job. Oh, fine, bring 3 million, 3.5. Bring 3.5, you go, just gives you a tourist visa. And when you are there, your visa expires because you've been given 3 weeks. And you have not bothered to look at the time. When you are there, even no job. He says, when you tell him, first of all, you can't trace him. Or if you do, he says, okay, my job was to take you to Dubai. Did I get you a plane? Did I get you a ticket? Yes. Aren't you in Dubai? So please, our transaction ended. From where I fulfilled the part of my bargain, it's up to you. But you said a job. Who told you a job? So you start suffering. So all these things are slowly ending. And I think also the embassies have been prepared. Last time we talked in cabinet, we should be like the others. We have even holding centers in case things go wrong. Some of the employers there are not very Christian. So if something goes wrong, yeah, we'll get our girl to a room, a holding place, where they can be given psychosocial support, and then arrangements are made to return them. And the companies now have to pay a deposit. It was 50 million, but now it's 100 million, to cater for some of these eventualities, you see. And then somebody on the ground there in the embassy to make sure that they always know, and then to also have a register to know exactly where is who and what kind of help we can give, even to allow more privileges, to allow these people to keep their phones and so on. In case of any problem, they can ring the embassy, they can ring the company, they can ring their people back home. In the past, it was not possible. You go there, the phone is taken, your identity is taken, and so on. So you are there more or less as a hostage. So all these things are changing now. We are also learning from other people who have been in the field longer, like the Filipinos, the Ethiopians have been at it longer, and the Kenyans. One other good thing, especially in the Middle East, is that Ugandan labor has an advantage. It is preferred for two, I think, main reasons. One is that the Ugandans are good English speakers. And now the trend in those countries that, yes, they want also to speak English. And they want somebody who can speak English, especially with their children, so that they pick up English from a very young age. So that's and among the people who go there, I think the Ugandans, they tell us that at least they are very good, they are the best, so they are preferred. The other is the Ugandan character. They are not aggressive, and they are very friendly, compared, let's say, to the Nigerians. No, this is it's not really whatever. This is the feedback we get, and it's not just a supposition or what. I was Minister of Gender. I think you know that. You can recall that. And I had an opportunity to go to Saudi Arabia, to the Emirates, and all the other places, and meet some of our Ugandans who are there. So, and the employers tell us that, okay, Ugandans, fine, yeah. Now, not aggressive, friendly, and so on. And yes, for many of them, they are ready to work, and so on. So these two advantages make the Ugandan workers preferable, you see. And indeed, actually the majority of these people who have gone, they are doing well. They are doing well. And they have been able to repatriate their earnings here. It's a few, again, who don't go through the proper channels, who meet with problems. who are actually now like slaves. Because you go there, the Arab employer has paid something like $15,000 to someone that I want a worker. So this person now comes and talks, could even be a relative. Oh, you see, you're going to get it. Well, please. So quietly smuggles that person out, does not explain the terms under which this person is going. When the person gets there, then says, oh, you are supposed to work for us. All, and some of them live in huge, compounds. You have a house here, you have another house there. So every day you must clean this house, you go and clean the other house, and at the end of the day you are so tired, and when you complain, they say, but we bought you. You must pay back. Say, but what are you talking about? Pay back? You are not even paying me. What is happening? Say, but what are you saying? And of course, there's the language barrier. Language barrier. So there's a breakdown in communication, tempers rise, and this other person cannot tolerate this, says, okay, let me beat you. If you're not going to work, I'll force you to work. So things like that happen. So those people are being told not to go under those arrangements. Don't go under those arrangements. Go through a registered company, which is known here in the Ministry of Gender. And of course, when you go there, you make sure, of course, the embassy gets to know where you are. And you have signed a proper agreement. And you are going to be paid, and so on and so forth. So the majority really are not so bad off. Because I visited a good number of them in Saudi Arabia, everywhere, Medina, Riyadh, Dahaman, all these other big centers. I visited the Emirates, Abu Dhabi, and so on. But the few are that category. And those who think they can get there and start vending. So that's not a good category. Now, civilians being tried in the court martial. Yes. I think the law we put down is that if you have been found committing crime using arms, which are really the exclusive equipment of the armed forces, of the police, of the intelligence, prisons, and the army, then you'll be tried under court-martial. What business do you have with an AK-47? You're just a civilian. You are not with a knife, but you are with an AK-47. You have a grenade. We have seen you with the, some improvised explosive device. You are now making a bomb, like these fellows who are exploding these bombs in the vehicles and so on. Now you won't be treated tried under a civilian court. It seems your intentions are higher. Not so? Hey. And the state takes greater interest in you. If you can have AK-47s, and not only one, but maybe 10 with a uniform, and 10 grenades behind you, are you an ordinary civilian? Are you? No, you are not ordinary. So you go and face judgment in a court-martial. Fortunately, you'll get representation. You can have your lawyer. They will listen to you, and you'll get justice. So don't get worried. Don't be worried. Eh? Why should you be worried that you not get justice? That court, the court martial, is just like this other court in terms of its operations and the court procedure and so on. You see? If you don't want to go that way, then don't get entangled with those weapons. If you want to be a criminal, do the normal civilian criminal crimes. You see? Yes. But also, you know, the press has done a good job to educate us, to inform us, and so on. However, there is one little thing. The press, I think, has got a bias towards the supposed victim. Anybody know that one is treated automatically as somebody in the right is being harassed. Like when somebody got a brick, you remember, and hit a policeman. There was a policeman, an unfortunate man, really, was hit by a brick, with a brick, and the policeman died. Mr. Oriang, was it Oriang or Oriong? It sounded a name from the East. And that Oriong died. You see? And then the person who hit him eventually was arrested and so on. But the way the press was reporting, it would make the impression that, you know, the one who hit that policeman was actually right. And he had rights and so on. Nobody was talking about the rights of this policeman, who actually even lost his life. Nobody would think about the family this policeman left. You know, the man had a wife, had children, and a policeman, not earning a lot. He was not, with the stars. So I think, was he a sergeant? Or even constable, I think. Here, in Kikubu. Nobody would talk about that. When this person explodes a bomb in Link bus, and 6 or 10 people die, nobody even mentioned, apart from just the statistics. But this man now was arrested in a very inhumane way, Really, let's be fair. How do you arrest a hardened ADF person with guns? Do you go with the Bible? Or you go with the Quran and ask, Bismillah Rahman Rahim, I'm suspecting you to be a criminal. Please, you come so that I can handcuff you and arrest you and take you. So let's face the reality. This person, that's why they say, dawa ya moto. Yes, you want to put out a fire, a wildfire. What do? You put some fire also around, so when the other fire, the wild one is coming, it finds this place where and then it dies down. But you don't say, you see, or put petrol. So I think we should be balanced where issues of security are concerned. And also look at the risks of a policeman or a policewoman going to arrest that fellow. That fellow has been training in Congo for the last 15 years. He has been indoctrinated, he's hardened, he looks at you as an enemy, and he's also armed. What do you do? But he has also killed already, through his action, 20 people in a bus. Why should you report in such a way as to show that the other one who has killed really is innocent? The police even handled him, brutally. There was... You are doing so because none of your people has been involved. Supposing you are that journalist and in the process the bomb blew off and cut off your arm, would you write like that? Eh? Would you? Eh? Or your brother, you have just paid school fees for him at Makerere and you are taking him back. Then a hooligan detonates a bomb and your brother dies. Then you write, you see, when the police came, oh, they are very cruel. Please, let's be balanced. Where people are playing around with people's lives and destroying our country, and they are propagating a line of extremism, let's be fair. All we can insist on is that, yes, let that fellow face the due process of the law. But let's not appear as if, it's okay. Now, supposing these people actually seize power and now start saying, okay, you're a woman, you are not even supposed to put on a bra. Don't even use cosmetics. You're not supposed to drive a car. What are you doing going to school? This is what Al-Shabaab is saying. Now, will you simply say, oh, yeah, those are the rights? Or will you say that's against the human rights, and then they kill you? Eh? So are we waiting for that to happen? Why don't we stop it before it does what? They know that there is nothing, this is a line we don't condone here in this country. We don't condone extremism. Eh? You see? So, people who are going to use weapons, assault rifles, grenades, bombs to commit crime, let them not be tried by our civilian courts. Let them be tried by the court-martial. And you very well know the arguments which go on in court, don't you? I'm glad I'm talking to lawyers. Haven't you had cases where even a murderer, because of good arguments and so on, is acquitted? Yeah? Haven't you heard of it? Because that lawyer he can argue, he knows he can assemble his evidence, and the judge has, beyond reasonable control is convinced. Beyond reasonable doubt. And then the fellow comes and says, In Uganda they say, Ogumsango sevu naguwu sebuva. Ineyo musajja twamutta. So really, I think let's be realistic about this. Now, these others, the legal aid to the public and so on, these people who have impregnated girls and then they have run away, they are doing this. The whole thing is a little bit complex. Yes, it is wrong. Why do you impregnate a 15-year-old girl? You have lured this girl into this and that. She gets pregnant. And then instead of you really being responsible, you run away. Or you say, please, we are very many. Then what are you doing? What were you doing in the first instance where you are very many? You went in a pool. Or if action is really, people are determined to take action, this 15-year-old girl is immature, so that is defilement. You have impregnated her, you have run away, you have also abdicated your responsibility. Then when issues are going ahead, then it is now the parents of the girl. Oh, please, please, please. Please, police, don't go forward. Why? Because the boy who did this is actually a brother-in-law. So what do we do? And then sometimes the girls come and say, oh, yeah, no, I love my man. Now if you impregnate, you jail him, who is going to look after the baby? The whole thing is complex. So we need to really maybe give further thought to this. Impregnate jail the boy, yeah, there will be nobody. And sometimes the parents are even annoyed. You girl, you have spoiled our money and so on. You are a slut. We don't want you. All that kind of thing. So we need to so people go into negotiations, they go to this and that, and the people concerned take also an advantage of earning an extra shilling that the state attorney can write a statement which will actually not allow further prosecution. The way the statement is written. Don't you know? And then the welfare police officer also say, okay, now. Okay, I'm advising you, young man, disappear from here. Well, don't you have an aunt in Tororo? Yes, you go there. Go there and stay there. We shall look around, and, after some time we say, oh, we have failed to trace. That's when maybe you can come back and it's things that we have closed the file. So let's sit down and actually give more thought to this, to see how we can protect these young people, and not only ourselves, but the whole community. You see, there was a time when here, even in this, here, when clothing was not so common, people would dress up scantily. Like, let's say, the Swazi people, traditionally, they dress up scantily, exposing many parts of the body. But I can assure you there were no cases of rape. Even now in some areas, a few years back in the areas of Karamoja, there were very few cases of what? Rape. Yet they were dressing up scantily. But where people are dressed in long robes, like those of Muslims and so, cases of, were very high. So these issues are a result of the what? The corruption is not in the corruption is where? Yes, upstairs. Yes. Upstairs in the brain. So if we are going to get a solution, then also let's address that area. So it's not going to be done by the police alone, not by the lawyers alone, but really other members of the sectors, including the religious people, including the parents, how we bring up our children, and how we prepare them. Okay, the laws are there and so on. Yes, let them be there. They help where they are used properly. And also now the people who are going to put them into effect, let them also be upright. Because if you do this, supposing it happens to your daughter, you are now the prosecutor, the what? Not prosecutor, state attorney. You are writing a statement, which is on the other hand, this one, so the judge is also at a loss and acquits. Suppose now it is your daughter. Now, will you want a straight statement? But don't forget, you did that to so-and-so's daughter, and you failed justice. So as we are looking at this, I think let's be serious and give this issue further thought. Such that we come to a point where, like in our father's time, you see a girl with breasts out and so on, you now don't become like a dog on heat because you've seen the breasts and you want to, follow and lose. No. Look at, you are not concerned. But now when these things have happened, are no longer there, people are decently dressed and so on, then you are even more than a dog. Eh? You can even commit incest. What kind of person are you? Eh? You can get a small girl of 10 and you call that a wife. Eh? Then who are you really? Or if you're an old woman, of 45, you are now luring a small girl, boy, oh, come, let me show you. What are you showing? Eh? You've no shame? Eh? No shame? So let's think about this. Yes, let the law apply, but let's also think about, this is really a transition from the traditional arrangement to the modern. I think it calls for more thought from us, because we are living now, and we are also forming a foundation for our children and grandchildren who will come. What do we want to happen? We can't go back to the past. It's gone. But now, what exactly do we want? And how can we put it into serious effect? Now, if girls get pregnant and the boys have run away, so what do? But we also want to protect the future of this child. Eh? And in our culture, this child, much as the boy has run away, is still our child, and we are not going to kill the child. We also want to give this child a good beginning, and maybe also to have a decent reflection on the circumstances that brought that child into the world. In the past, if you produce a child through incest, it was very easy. You have impregnated your sister. I don't say it used to be, it would not be very common, but somehow you do it, and we realize there were some harsh judgments, either you'd be killed or what. So that's not the way. But later on, it's okay. You are now banished. You come from here, from Kampala, okay? So now you are sent to Karagwe. And you'll never come back here. And you, girl, you became weak and stupid to play around like that. So we are now sending you to Kavirondo, to Bungoma in Kenya. You'll never come back. Okay? And then you, the father, yes, you did not do proper parentage. We now load you with the guilt. We start singing about you. You are a very careless father. And the mother, of course. And then the child, once it grows up, because villagers are going to begin talking, the child is sent to Bunia in Congo. They will never meet. So you go there, start a new life, and actually you become part of the other community, and that's it. So you'll never know, you'll not feel guilty that you are a product of an incestuous relationship. The other boy who has been sent to Karagwe gets a new life that way. This other who has gone to Bungoma becomes a Luya. That's it. Problem is solved. And this other father here and mother who became careless after there have been, a few ceremonies, they now become more serious. They don't want such a thing to happen again. Or they can even migrate because the shame is too much. They can go to Nimule. And they become Acholis now. They are no longer Baganda. And that's the way it was solved traditionally. But now this cannot happen. So what do we do? How do we make? In other words, the schools, the religious people, plus the lawyers, plus the policemen, everybody, the community, and even the children themselves. Let's create the inner policeman. Yes, in those people. So now, The other one, so when you say, oh, I have not heard the Law Society doing this, yes, the Law Society will do something. But to what extent? How effective? Because the Law Society is coming in at the other end, when the thing, after the fact. What do you want us to do? And even the boy has disappeared. Then we ask the boy, look for this boy called so-and-so. And the boy has many names. Eh? Or here, when he's in Nakivo, we know him as smart. Eh? When he goes to Masaka, the fellow becomes Surambaya. Then now you are looking for smart, then Surambaya, then a cowboy, then, then Zigidi, then now. Okay. Now, issues of trials taking long and so on, yes, it's true. But I think we now can commend the new Chief Justice. The measures he has instituted at least have reduced the period, including using technology, Zoom and so on for trials. I think we only have to encourage that trend. But also the fact now, under this administrative justice law, we are now going to have more manpower. At least initially, we should have a judge for each district. Later on, we are going to have a judge or a magistrate at sub-county level. County, then sub-county level. So that will also improve. I think more courts are now going to be built. In addition also, when other sectors come up, when people are not redundant and they are working and so on, definitely I think the crime rate also tends to go down. Certainly when people are not doing anything, they are there drinking and so on, then thefts come up, and others move here and there, they start fighting. And also fighting, high tempers also come because of some difficulties. If I'm very hungry, perpetually, I don't think I'm going to afford to laugh. One little thing, I'm slapping you. But if the economy improves a bit and the infrastructure is also increased, plus of course people doing purposeful engagements, then most likely the crime rate will go down. Then periods taken to try somebody will also reduce tremendously. But now you have a few judges. I think the other time we were being given the statistics. One judge has over 20,000 cases. The per capita. When will this judge actually go through all of them? And the case is not decided summarily. You have to make sure you are beyond reasonable doubt. It takes time. It takes long and so on. So I think we can only really urge government to go forward, put more infrastructure, train more judges, but also adopt those policies which will create an atmosphere where crime goes down. And some of the petty crimes, yes, I think the other system which has been adopted is good. Try them here and there, punishments, let them do communal justice, communal punishments, and that's it. The crowding is reduced. Yes, agree, some cases taking long, but at least the consoling thing is that at least a measure has been put in place, which we are sure with the time will really solve this problem. That's the consoling thing. Otherwise, thank you very much. I'm sorry I've taken much of your time. I'm sorry, but some of these things I think need time to explain. Yes, like these crooks, ADF fellows, and Al-Shabaab and so on, who want to establish extremist arrangements in this country or partisan establishments in this country, no. Thank you.
Let's give him another big hand clap. Before I respond to those that were raised to us, I wanted to invite a representative from CID and a member of parliament. They both had something to say. If you have anything to say about what has been raised. Okay, yes, Afande.
Not Afande.
You know, I don't know the...
My name is Peace Service Ambassador Kambula Melton. I'm the president of Global Peace Foundation.
Oh.
From what Honorable has just presented here, I like two things, members. One is he has reminded us of our core Pan-African model on how we reduced crime. I hope the lawyers understand that because we have tried to pump budgets, right? Gone for exchange engagements all over the world, isn't it? But until we understand two core things, one, deepening shared values in our programming as justice system, using a leader like Muruli, where he says that, yes, the law is there, but I think we need to integrate within our infrastructure shared values. Then it will enable us reorganize the mindsets of our people. So in your leadership, I encourage you to work in partnership with the people who influence people's mindset. That's what South Korea is doing. That's what now Germany is doing. They trusted more of the economy, but realizing, like South Korea, few women are getting pregnant. And when we had a meeting with the speaker, he was saying, we are worried in the next 20 years we may lose South Korea to foreigners. They are rich, but the social structure, crime in terms of stabilizing marriages going down. Crime in terms of technology rising up. So I think let's trust more of our Pan-African values, that indeed when you find a woman carrying something on the head, have the courtesy to say, hi, ma'am, can I help you? Those are the values that built society for 600 years until the colonial masters came. So I thank you, everyone, and I encourage you that let's work together to fight corruption, but it all starts in the brain. Let's not just trust the Constitution alone. Let's give the opportunity to reorganize the mindset of these African young people who are actually depending on committing crime. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Joel?
Oh, now it is President and Honorable. Thank you. I want to appreciate the Uganda Law Society for the incredible work that you are doing. It's not easy work pushing for rule of law and all these different things. So we want to appreciate you, Fiona, and the rest of the team. I want to congratulate Minister Muruli Mukasa, even as he walks back in, on your new assignment. Muruli Mukasa and I have a bit of a connection. We hail from the same place in Nakasongola. So I was born, bred, and buttered here in Kampala, but my roots are the other side. He's an elder from there. Chief, the elders there tell me they have a lot of hope in you. We are hoping you will deliver on their hopes, especially in this new docket. Very quickly, it's not a question or whatever. I just wanted to say that in as far as pushing for rule of law is concerned, we have got to be intentional, we have got to be deliberate. I think for me, the buck stops with that. There's many things that happen, and they end up looking like they are policy even when they're not. The minister was talking about a couple of those things. And in law, we say justice delayed is justice denied. If somebody, for example, check 1, 2, 3, mic check. Fiona, you need to pay your public address people, guys. They are protesting. One, two.
Can you yell?
Okay, maybe I can speak without.
I've seen you on campaign.
Yeah, so I'll say that. The journalists have.
Hello? Hello?
Check. Okay, thank you. So I was saying that we have got to be in. Are we good? We have got to be intentional and deliberate if we are going to deliver on rule of law. As a country, all of us stakeholders. Because like I was saying, that certain things are done, and then they end up looking like they are policy even when they are not. That if somebody is killed, for example, that's a life lost. Can there be justice? So when justice is not delivered, when nobody is called to order, it ends up looking like it is a policy. I don't think there was a cabinet meeting that sat and said, let's kill Yasin Kauma. I don't even think there was a top police organ meeting that sat and said, let's kill many of the people that have been killed. But you see, when an errant officer operates that way and no action is taken, Honorable Minister, it ends up looking like it is government policy, even when it is not. And so we have got to be deliberate, we have got to be intentional about these things, extremely. We have people that get brutalized, that get tortured. You know, these past couple of days, everybody has been talking about Kakwenza, Ruchirabashaija. The doctor's report clearly indicates this man was tortured. Now, when action is not taken, it ends up looking like it is policy. And so it's important that we act on these issues. It's important that wrong is treated as wrong. And we're not saying anybody is above the law. But you see, if you assume I have committed an offense, what does the law say you do? How do you treat me? Segirinya and Sewanyana were granted bail, and as soon as they were getting out of jail, some hoodlums arrested them. We cannot operate like this. So I'm not above the law, even though I'm a member of parliament. But what does the law say? If you suspect that Senyonyi has committed an offense, do you arrest him and take him to a torture chamber? Or do you actually take him to court and make sure that due process gets to happen? That's important. We have got to be deliberate about these things. It's good I see somebody from prisons. Across the country, all the prisons in our country, about half of all the prisoners in our country are on remand. And some have been on remand for a very long time. Simply because either they cannot afford a lawyer or the backlog issues that we get to have. Can we be deliberate about these issues? The judiciary has been crying, Honorable, for a very long time, saying, please, fund us better. The same way we are in a hurry to create so many districts and so on. Let's appoint many more judges to deal with these matters, more magistrates. Let's be deliberate. Because you see, for that person who is on remand for years, chances are high they could be innocent, but you have denied them justice, and they are there for a very long time. And yet if they were before a judicial officer and their case gets to be determined, we establish if they are guilty or not. Let's be deliberate. And finally, the issue of investigations. Again, I think we need to be very deliberate there. Because people get to stay in incarceration for a long time because we are investigating. When we said, okay, grant Segirinya Sewanyana bail, he said, we can't grant them bail. He said, okay, make the trial a speedy one, make it happen. But each time they go to court, prosecution asks for an adjournment. We are still investigating. And you see, we talk about Segirinya and Sewanyana because for them they are famous, they are MPs. But there's many other people who don't have a name like these ones, who have actually been behind bars much longer than Segirinya and Sewanyana. But we don't talk about them because you don't know them, but they are there. Can we try and expedite these issues? I see Charles Twine here. And it's possible that Charles Twine and his colleagues might be having challenges. Maybe they're understaffed or whatever the case might be. Can we know so that we deal with these issues? You know? Because if investigations are not carried out expeditiously, the judge is also saying, okay, so I'm ready to proceed. And prosecution says we still need to investigate and so on. Again, you are hampering the question of justice because you're delaying it. Let's be deliberate about these issues. Thank you.
I think that was such an apt conclusion for today. I'll just make one comment on pretrial detention. When the bail, Honorable Minister, when the bail issue, the conversation came about, it sparked a lot of debate. And we had some statistics. We worked with prisons, and yes, Joel's statistics on about 50% being on bail, on remand, are pretty accurate. And that's about 35,000 prisoners. And what that means is that, of course, our jails are overloaded, but there's people there that were probably collected in idle and disorderly about 8 years ago, and they're rotting in that system because we don't know them. So in December, in partnership with prisons and the Attorney General, we actually launched a program where we are doing a decongestion. And what we're doing is, first of all, we're getting the statistics. We are going to give the Attorney General the list of people that should not even be in jail at all, because their remand period has even exceeded the prison sentence, the maximum prison sentence they would have gotten were they to be judged guilty. Then want to get those who've never even had a hearing at all, and want to get those that Katia was talking about, that have already exceeded the 6 months, have been committed to High Court, and there's no hope. And our Honorable Minister, we will be bringing these statistics to you, the names, the details. I want to thank prisons. They've already given us the statistics. We're combing through them. For those that we're going to apply for and help as the Law Society, they'll also be there. But we think that we can first clean out. Right now, the prison is about 318%. 318% capacity. That means, I don't know what that means. Do you understand what I mean? Yes, and it's not being made better by, of course, it's not being made better at all by COVID. So on that somber note, I want us to remember what our Honorable Minister has talked about. Mindset change, we need that. In everything that we're doing to address the rule of law in this country, we need a mindset change. We also need to be purposeful, as Joel has said. And I'm hoping after this, we usually write to all our partners on the issues that we've raised that affect them for action. And we want to thank everybody. Give yourselves a big hand clap. for still being here. This shows how much you value the rule of law. We want to thank our Honorable Minister who had a cabinet meeting but has chosen us. And I think this has been very, very useful. It is very evident that for someone who has been a minister for security, for someone who has been a minister for gender, for someone who's been a teacher, who's been in the trenches, he must be right now the right person to help us address these issues. So let's all give ourselves a hand clap and have a good afternoon.
Seguridad,